good encryption algorithms, good asymmetric crypto, good this, good that, and this newfangled X509 thing we got, if you do all of it, we won't complain when you tell users to put credit card numbers on the internet. And I swear to God, I swear to all of you, that's the only reason we have strong crypto in every single user's desktop today. So this is a success story. However, it's not that great a success story. We've got about 1 million SSL endpoints on the internet. Let me tell you, you have a lot more than 1 million servers on the internet. And it turns out only about half of those are actually secure, meaning they're actually assertions by anyone. There's this very weird concept in SSL called self-signed certificates. Instead of having a passport that says, the person with this face is Dan Kaminsky according to the United States of America, it's the person with this face is Dan Kaminsky according to Dan Kaminsky. And worthless. So let me walk you guys through the actual real-world reality of what it takes to get an X509 certificate. So the first thing you do in X509 is you go over to DNS. Oh, you didn't see that one coming. So you go over to DNS and you register a name in there. And you actually provide in DNS a canonical user behind your domain. So you say, this is the mail server. If anyone's ever going to send mail to DocSparrow.com, here's where that mail should go. This is step one. You do nothing with crypto. First, you got to get your name, and you get that from DNS. Then you generate a public and private key pair. This is basically like building your face. What's that? Oh, no. So you build your face, your real face, then you take a photo of it, so that's the picture on the passport. Those are your private and public keys. You then go to a certificate authority. This is VeriSign, or in the analogy, the State Department of the United States of America, or wherever you do it in Germany, or wherever your particular nation is. So you go there, and you say, hi, I claim to be the controller for www.docsparrow.com. And this is actually done with what's called a PKCS10 request. Now, the certificate authority could be talking to anybody. How does it know that you're actually the controller of DocSparrow.com? Well, what it does is it goes to DNS. And it says, hey, DNS, what's the mail server I should go to make sure that I'm actually talking to this person? And then it goes there and it sends it an email. And if you come back and you say, oh, yes, I got that email, I got your secret magic code, it's me, then the certificate authority is satisfied that you are the correct identity, and it issues you the certificate. The basis of this trust, I'd like to point out, is already DNS. We already crossed that line many years ago. They never tell you that one, do they? It's kind of that step zero before. So now what I just described to you is something called domain validation. I'm kind of cheating because there are certificate authorities out there that are run by a bunch of paranoid bastards. I know because I get on the phone with them every once in a while, and these guys are afraid of everything. It's wonderful. And, you know, these guys, they're not going to just depend on DNS. They're going to do, like, DUNS lookups and phone calls. They're going to send a lawyer to your office and, like, get a blood sample. Like, there are totally certificate authorities that don't do just this. And it doesn't matter because there's no exclusion. There are dozens and dozens of certificate authorities out there that are trusted by the browsers. Every certificate authority can issue names that every other certificate authority is issuing names for as well. So if you get a certificate from Super Paranoid Guy, that's nice. The bad guy just goes to Jim's Certificate Shack. This is the direct equivalent of Zimbabwe being able to issue American passports. I'm not saying I don't like Zimbabwe, but it's not a good idea. So what this means is that everyone who does a better job as a certificate authority is actually penalized by the underlying technology. The underlying technology creates a race to the bottom scenario where everyone has the same goodie to give out, and the only question is, who is someone going to go to get that goodie? If it's a big pain in the ass from this guy and it's really easy over here and it's the same output, well, I'm going over there. So the underlying technology is what has failed us. And anything more than the bare minimum, it's just security theater. There's literally no security value win to going to the paranoid people when the lazy ones have the same output. So DNS does not actually have this trait, and that is fascinating to me. I had no idea this system was so complicated. But check this out. In DNS, you have 3 layers. Where you start at the root. First of all, there's one root, not 300. There's one DNS root, and it is synchronized, and it has been running there for 20 years, and it'll be there 20 years from now. You tell me what else on the internet has that kind of long lifespan of a foundation. There's nothing. So there's one root. And do you have any idea what kind of a pain in the ass it is to get anything in that root? This is the least efficient of all possible governmental entities. You can't get things into the root if it's legitimate. Screw if you're a hacker trying to break something in. So there's this wonderful quote by Peter Gutmann basically saying the CA system is only as secure as the money they refuse to take. The root, it turns out, is part of the state system, meaning it's part of the system that creates money in the first place. That is a really unique trait. Now, it would suck if every time you had foo.com, bar.com, duxbury.com, whatever, you had to go to this intergovernmental entity because you'd never get anything through. But let me tell you, there's one thing governments are reasonably good at doing, and it's delegating. What the root does, and what the DNS technology allows, is the delegation of top-level domains to individual companies. VeriSign controls all of COM. Not 20 or 30 companies control all of COM. VeriSign. There is one entity that controls COM. There is one entity that controls org. There was one entity that controlled a top-level domain, which I'll leave unnamed, which was basically 90% malware. And what was happening was people were banning the top-level domain everywhere. They were just doing it by default. And this started impacting the revenues of the company that controlled the top-level domain. And you know what they did? They did exactly what we here would want them to do. They went ahead and massacred 90% of the names in their top-level domain to protect the revenue stream from the other 10%. This is what happens when responsibility and authority align. This is actually awesome. But you know, it would be a problem if there was only one company that I could go to actually deal with web interfaces. Let's say there was only one company. Let's say I had to go directly to VeriSign to put something in COM, and only VeriSign. And let's say VeriSign had a really crappy website, let's say. So let's say that happened, and you just had to accept if you have a COM name, well, you just have to deal with the fact that that SQL injection vulnerability applies to you too. Well, it turns out, in one of the smartest moves that I can imagine, they said, we're going to have only one company control the top-level domain, but we're going to allow registrars. We're going to allow resellers of names. We're going to put an extra layer here that controls the web interface, that controls the customer relationship between all the users and the single top-level domain. So even though you get the advantages of one company with all the responsibility and all the authority, the actual work of dealing with customers and providing the competitively best experience to you is actually distributed to only one person at a time. So a while back,